Let's get started. Welcome to today's masterclass, which is Choose Your Boundaries and Non-Negotables for an incredible 2023. Now, in case we have not met, I almost couldn't get my words out. Shall I try that again? In case we've not met before or only recently met, hello. My name is Lindsay Burden and I work with ambitious women in business and entrepreneurs with a dream to realize, goals to achieve, and an incredible life to live. But before we get started, I want you to know something. No matter where you are in your business journey, no matter what the time of year, you can choose new boundaries and non-negotiables that better serve you at any time. And I wanted to say that because I think it's really important that we don't think we're setting boundaries and that we've got to stick to them and that's it and we can't change them, because you absolutely can. And on my notes, I was writing, what is a boundary? So a boundary is something that guides you. It guides you so that you can do your very best work, so that you can serve your clients in the very best way possible and at the highest level. And this is the important bit, you still have all the energy you need. It is how you manage your business, how you serve your clients, what you will do and accept or not. And boundaries, I'll keep using that word for a moment, boundaries apply to everything in your business. And I kind of started this list and it became quite long. So it applies to time, clients, your financials, your pricing, personal information, social media, communication, marketing, sales, team. The list went on and on as I was writing it. So boundaries aren't just about time. And I think we get stuck in that, although it is the easiest example for me to use to explain good boundaries. So keeping in mind that boundaries guide you so that you can do what you do, serve your clients at the highest level and still have all the energy you need. We will start with time as an example. So yes, absolutely have boundaries around time. As I say, it's a really great example for me. So what are your working hours? What days of the week do you want to work? When will you work with your clients? So in my diary, I have blocked out Mondays and Fridays. They are days that I do not work with clients, but because it is a boundary, there can be exceptions to the rule. So if I have a client in a particular week that is only able to see me on a Friday, of course, I'm going to make that exception. So don't get hung up on that, well, if I'm not available and this is the only times I'm working, you will still be able to service your business and your clients because you can have exceptions. And if you're immediately going, well, then what do I do once I've decided of, what my working hours are? Again, there's a couple of quick tips. And again, I'm using time because it's a really good example and an easy one to use. So if you have decided on days of the week and times, opening times, if you like, put them on the bottom of your email. Check your social media platforms. What does it say on Google? And again, if you want to allocate time in your diary to working on your business, as I do, block it out. Don't leave it to chance. Set the boundaries and take the actions that enable you to hold yourself accountable to that boundary. I wanted to give you a few examples. So that was time. And I wanted to use social media. And in particular, I've got a really good example on LinkedIn. So I recently went to a networking event, and one of the first things I do after going to a networking event is I want to reach out and I want to connect with people on LinkedIn. Now, somebody connected with me and I don't feel a resonance with that person's business. I have no problem at all with the person. I don't have a resonance with that business. So while they have actually asked to connect with me, I haven't accepted that connection request. And that's perfectly okay. That's about protecting yourself. That's about protecting your boundaries. It's also for me about saying, I'm not sure I want that type of business appearing in my feed, because then that has an impact on how I feel, protecting myself. So in relation to social media, what are your boundaries? What are your rules around using social media? And LinkedIn is a really good example, actually, because, you know, it's that the person you connect with because you think they feel, you know, it feels like an awesome connection. You've perhaps been reading their posts, you have noticed their comments, and you might feel that that's a business that you may need the services of in the future. Or, as is often the case for me, is that I think, oh, I might have clients that would need their services. So I make a connection and then they immediately try and sell something to me. So for me, I want to disconnect. And that is my boundary. And that's okay. I am not saying that that person is a bad person or not good at what they're doing. I'm just saying that they have crossed a boundary for me. And this is particularly important when we're creating boundaries that impact others. And I'm only talking about business here. I am not saying the person is a bad person. I'm not saying they're not good at what they do. I just feel disappointed that they've tried to sell to me immediately without building that connection first, without building that relationship. And so therefore they have crossed a boundary for me. So social media is another good example. What are your boundaries? What are your rules around using? And that also links to personal information, which is what I had on my list. What do you want to share? What do you feel comfortable sharing? Again, this is particularly important around social media, and it's perfectly okay to set boundaries that suit you. Just because someone else shares lots of images about their children, talks about their children and talks about their families, for example, doesn't mean to say that you have to, and it doesn't make you a bad person for not doing that. It is a choice that you are making. So personal information, what are you willing and happy to share? How open, how vulnerable do you want to be? And it's okay, whatever is right for you. And this is what boundaries are about. It's why social media and personal information are really good examples to illustrate. Boundaries are about you and about you protecting yourself, your energy. And there is no right or wrong here, I guess. So always do what is right for you. So I've mentioned time, I've mentioned social, looking back at my list here, and I've mentioned personal information. Communication, this is a really, really good one, and it absolutely relates to your clients. When are you available to your clients? And of course, this will depend on your business model and how you work, but when are you available to your clients? More importantly, when do you want to be available to your clients? So keep in mind that this is about protecting your space, it's protecting your energy so that you can serve at the highest level. It is not you being mean and horrible. If you do not want to be replying to your clients after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, That's okay. Don't feel bad about it. And again, there are lots of things that you can do to take the pressure off and make it feel a little bit easier. So for example, if somebody emails you after 5 o'clock, you could set up an automatic out of office that says, sorry, I'm not available right now. I will get back to you within 24 hours. Taking the pressure off and showing the person that's trying to get in touch with you, whether that's a client or not, that you are available during certain hours. That's really valuing yourself. And in return, you receive respect. So communication, how and when, and in this world of the ability to connect and communicate with people in a whole different, one huge number of, I can't even get it out. There's just this, I don't even know the right phrase to use. There is a huge number of ways, methods for connecting with you. WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn Messenger, Instagram direct messages. The list goes on, not to mention email and telephone, but I will. So it's also okay for you to choose in which way you want to be communicated with. So again, it's about setting the boundaries. And if you are thinking, well, this all sounds great, Lindsay, but I've already got clients contacting me, it's okay to say, it's a new year, a new month, a new week, a new day. And I have chosen that going forwards, I wish to be communicated in this way. So set the scene, share your boundaries with your present client base and absolutely your new client base. So don't be fearful of this. And actually your clients will have a huge amount of respect for you when you do this, and they will put a far greater value on you and your time. I just want to touch really quickly on financial boundaries. So there's some really obvious things that come to mind immediately. What are your payment terms? Do you honor your payment terms? By which I mean, if somebody doesn't pay you within the set amount of days and you have said that there will be interest added, do you add it? And if not, why not? There is very little benefit in having payment terms if you don't stand by those payment terms. Again, it's about mutual respect and value. So what are your payment terms? And if you have chosen to accept payment in one way and someone says, oh, I can't do that, but I can do it this way, you can make that an exception. Or it might be that you go, actually, that's the second time somebody's asked me to pay in that way. Maybe I need to look at that and change your boundary. And that's what I mean about boundaries. We're always growing. As you are always evolving, your business is always evolving. So there may be times when you need to tweak, adjust, or change your boundary. And that's also okay, as long as you are keeping in mind that it's about protecting you. It's so that you can serve at the highest level. It's so that you can do your very best work. And absolutely, so you can protect your energy, your health, your well-being, reduce your stress. I also, while we're talking financials, just to give you another example of boundaries, pricing. Now, this is a really interesting one, and it's a whole topic in itself. But if you have perhaps launched a new program, relaunched a program, offer, service, product, and you have chosen a price, what are your boundaries around that price? And sometimes it's really useful to think that through. So what would you do if a past client of 6 months ago came back and wanted exactly the same thing and said, oh, you've put your pricing up? Would you say, yep, I'm really sorry I have? Or would you say, actually, you've been an incredible client. You've invested with me previously, so I'm going to give you a discount. What are your discounts? One of the things I did early on in my business was really decide, well, I say early on, it took me a little while to get it right, but to get some, to ensure that my pricing was congruent And more importantly, to ensure that there wasn't a misalignment. And I didn't want people paying one price and somebody else paying another. So how is that going to work? What discounts are you going to do? Those early birds that we talk about and hear so much about. So how are you going to stand by your pricing? What boundaries can you use to ensure congruent pricing, fair pricing, and that makes it easier for you to state your pricing? Because that's really important too. And boundaries are a really good way of giving you confidence in your pricing. As I mentioned, and when I read from my very long list, you can have boundaries pretty much around anything in your business. Of course, there is no point of having boundaries if you're not sticking to them. So key is how you will then stay accountable to your boundaries, how you will enforce those boundaries in a way that feels easy, that feels good, that is both serving you, your business, and your clients. And when we think about the how, it helps you working out what your non-negotiables are. I mentioned that in my diary, I have Mondays and Fridays blocked out. And on occasion, and with exception, I will offer times, more likely on a Friday, not so much on a Monday, if my client can't make another day in the week and I really want to see them. The Monday is a much harder boundary for me. It's not quite a non-negotiable, but it is a harder boundary. I am far less likely to give away any time on a Monday to a client, because that is not a client day for me. What I had realized in my business is, because like you, I'm sure we absolutely love what we do. So it's really easy to get into a habit of working at weekends or working past a certain time of night and into the night and the early hours of the morning. So one of my non-negotiables is I never, ever come back to my desk. So once I've closed for the day, written my priorities for the next day, I'm closed and I won't come back. So that is a non-negotiable for me. Non-negotiables, I feel, are something that develop with time, and you start to work out what your non-negotiables are, and it will very much depend where you are in your business journey. So it might be immediately or in the future that you would never, ever answer an email after a certain time of night. I was going to say I have a non-negotiable that I don't answer any emails once I've left my desk. But if a client emailed me and I happen to look on the phone and I think that I can help them really, really fast, I will always respond to them. But that's because they are my client. I wouldn't respond to an email from somebody that is not my client at that time, although I'm sure I have in the past. So non-negotiables are something that are your hard and fast rules. I do not work on a Friday. That is a non-negotiable. That's not mine. That might be yours. It might be your non-negotiable is that you will not respond to any messages after 8 o'clock at night, and in fact, you're going to turn off your phone, which would be a great way to ensure that you don't do it. Remember, it's in the how, it's in the accountability. So boundaries guide you, and there might be exceptions. I call them the exceptions to the rule. But your non-negotiables are exactly that. There is no negotiation on it. Pricing's a really good one. If you have got a price for a product or service on an offer, you might offer, for example, an installment option, which is 4. So someone might come along and say, I really want to do this, but can I pay in 6? That might be a non-negotiable. It would be for me. I'm offering payment option. It's paying 4. There's a reason behind that. So a non-negotiable for me would be not extending that. So boundaries guide you, and you are allowed exceptions to the rule because it's your business and you should always do you, as someone said to me recently, which is a fantastic phrase. But your non-negotiables are exactly that. But why should you even have them? Why should you even bother to take a bit of time out today to think about your non-negotiables, your boundaries? Well, they really do help you to manage and operate your business efficiently and effectively. They protect your health and well-being, your stress levels, your anxiety levels, that feeling of overwhelm. And I should put that as a completely separate point. It helps you to manage overwhelm and stress. It ensures that you have the time to live life fully. And the beautiful one that I saved to the end, I don't really know why I saved it to the end. It invites respect. Respect from your colleagues, respect from other business owners, respect from your clients. I wanted to give you, and I am going to give you, some top tips to help you in choosing boundaries and non-negotiables for an incredible year and to make it a little bit easier for you. Firstly, don't try and change everything at once. Look at your business, review your business, have a think about what's not working in your business. Where is the business eating up your time? Where does it create the anxiety and the stress? And have a look at that area of the business first and see if there's one thing that you can change. They say it takes 28 days. They actually say it takes more, but let's use 28 days. It takes 28 days to create a new habit. So if you try and do too much too soon, you'll never achieve it all. So start with one thing and really get that one new boundary embedded before you move to the next. Now, of course, you might be saying, oh, Lindsay, I immediately can see how I can do this, 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 and this. And you might have 4 or 5 boundaries that immediately you want to put into action. Awesome. If you know that you can do that, please do. But if immediately it's bringing up any feelings of resistance or anxiety or worry, do one. That's all you need to do. Change one, or put one boundary into place. Choose one non-negotiable. Stick to it, embed it, let it become your natural behavior before you move on to the next one. My next tip is be okay with trying something, tweaking it, changing it. Okay, remember, do you. This is your business, so it has to be in a way that feels really, really good. So if you put a boundary in place and it feels really challenging, then tweak it. So for instance, if you're thinking, oh, Lindsay, I'd love to block out a Monday and a Friday in my diary, but the moment you go and do that, what you notice is that you are always giving away that time, that you are not staying accountable to that. Start with a couple of hours on a Monday morning, making that your time to plan in the business, for example, or block out a Friday afternoon to do your marketing. Choose how you're going to use that time. Choose what you're going to do with that time, if that's what you're looking at, how to use your time better, for instance, and start small. So don't try to change everything at once. Be okay with trying something, tweaking it, making it work for you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing you. I've already mentioned, start slow, embed one new boundary before you jump to the next, because less is always more. And that's what I mean when you're blocking out time. It might be that you want a day, but actually feel really uncomfortable, so start with a few hours. It might be that you want to change your pricing and you already know that there is one program, product or service that you immediately goes, oh, I know I can do that. Start there. So slow and sure, gently does it. And if necessary, increase over time. You get to choose your boundaries and non-negotiables, and only you can stay accountable to them in business and in life. So while I'm only focusing on business, you can equally have boundaries to benefit you and your loved ones. We don't put boundaries in place outside of the business because, you know, we want to upset anyone. We do it to live life fully. We do it to protect our energy. We do it so that we can have a really great life. So my question for you is, what boundary will you choose today? Do you have a non-negotiable you'd like to introduce? I have read several books by Jen Sincero. She is what I call the badass lady. And I have a desk calendar. And interestingly, I mean, I decided to do this particular topic last year, but interestingly, she has been talking about boundaries nearly every day on my desk calendar. And I picked something out from today's for you. Healthy boundaries means owning your actions, needs, and emotions. So choose boundaries because it is you owning your actions, your needs, and your emotions. It is you taking control of your business instead of letting the business control you. It is you taking control of your business by setting boundaries and non-negotiables so that you can serve at the highest level. So you can operate a business that enables you to achieve your goals and aspirations and to live your most incredible life.